r/AskReddit, what did you see that you definitely weren't supposed to see? My dad gave me a piece of furniture one time. When I got it home, a post-it note which had been stuck to the bottom floated down to the floor. I picked it up, and in my dad's unmistakable handwriting were various notes about gay personal ads he'd been responding to, details about the other guys, their names and ages and sexual interests, the status of their conversations, etc. My dad was, at least I thought, very straight. I put two and two together and realized this piece of furniture was from an apartment he kept briefly while he and my stepmom were on the outs for about a year. None of this bothered me one bit, but I got the distinct impression that my stepmom, an older, very conservative lady, would have not been cool with any of this. I let him go to his grave without ever telling him. Grandma naked, repeatedly. My room is across the hall from the bathroom and I would do homework a lot with headphones on. I heard my grandma holler something to me from the bathroom, took my headphones off and looked to the bathroom door right as she opened it to go to the guest bedroom. Turns out she was saying, "Don't look, naked grandma." I guess not me but my dad. He stepped outside a bar one night on a rainy day to get more smokes from his car. This was back when you could smoke inside, and saw one guy kneeling on the ground holding another dude face down in a pothole puddle and the other guy thrashing wildly. He said that instinct took over and he just ran up and kicked the attacker in the head as hard as he could, knocking him out. He sat with the victim until he left to make sure the dude was okay and didn't try to murder the now unconscious attacker. Then he made an anonymous 911 call so that someone would tend to the unconscious guy and left. He said it was the creepiest thing he ever just walked in on and he never went back to that bar again. My parents were getting ready to head out for a double date with my friend's parents. Everyone came over to our place beforehand and brought their kids because their oldest daughter was going to babysit the rest of us. The adults were in the kitchen chatting and my sibs and I decide we want to show our new sitter this home video we made of a turtle we caught. None of the tapes were labeled well, so of course we end up putting on what turned out to be my parents' sex tape. 5 kids with our jaws on the floor watched as my mom pulled down my dad's boxers and started blowing him. Dad was hung apparently. The sitter, who was maybe 15 at the time, dug for the VCR and powered it off. Within seconds all the parents come through. "Okay, kids, be good," met with our stunned silence. One time I was up late at night scrolling Facebook at the same time as my drunk and high off Xanax married mother, who was an entire time zone away at the time. She was messaging an old fling from high school while her husband was away at work and was sending him close-up pictures of her vagina. How I know this is because she didn't send them via Messenger. She posted them on her actual Facebook page. I had to call her in the middle of the night in her zonked out stupor to get her password to delete pictures of vagina off her own Facebook page. Was working at a hotel during college and saw my lab partner get a room with the professor. My uncle injecting my dad with heroin. About 5 years old, woke up to the snow finally starting to melt. Notice a girl asleep in the garden. Went and told my dad. He took one look and told me to go play in my room. Turns out girl had been asleep in our front garden for about 2 weeks, buried and frozen under the snow. My company's entire payroll on a spreadsheet. Someone left it on the printer. Used the info to get a way past due raise. Was fixing an elderly neighbor's laptop that had nudes of his wife on the desktop with the thumbnails at maximum size. It's like he wanted me to see them. I will say though, she had a bangin' bod for a woman in her 70s. I think it's safe to say he thought the same. When I was a kid I had to pull one of my ferrets out from under my parents' bed, and locked in his jaws was a bright red rubber dildo. My aunt sent a picture of her tits to my mom after she got them done. I happened to be the one using the phone when the message came through and opened it without expecting anything like that. When I was still married, my then wife had left her phone on to run to the bathroom while I was in bed. I looked at it for the time, and found it was left open to a secret Gmail account she was using for sending literally hundreds of nudes back and forth between many dudes, for years, up to that night while she was fully 6 months pregnant. Mostly original stuff too. I think that hurt more. Naked men wrestling on my mom's laptop. Not gay porn, it was actual wrestling in a ring, just with their soft dicks out. When I was like 9, she later came out as a lesbian, so I'm not sure what that was about. I had a treehouse in my backyard. The neighbors behind us had a pool. I was 12, their daughters were 18 and had their boyfriends over. They end up jumping topless into the pool while I was chilling in the treehouse reading. Was working on a school project with some kid, opened a folder where I thought we saved some of the videos for the project. It was nothing but his dad's bestiality porn. I'll never forget the look on that kid's face. His parents got a divorce like month later, and he moved away. I went on a road trip with my grandma when I was 15. My mom let me borrow her suitcase. Pretty sure she forgot that she'd stashed an envelope of very dirty photos of her and my stepfather, about a dozen, in various acts, with various people and objects. My grandma walked in as I discovered them and I was in a panic, fearing she might ask to see the photos I was looking at. Thankfully my aunt distracted her and I was able to hide them away in the pocket where I'd found them. It was quite an awakening. I was working airport security. I know, I'm sorry. We all hate it too. The X-ray guy sees a jar of cream in a bag. I'm called to the bag check and get the owner of the bag to come with me to do a bag check. I look through it, find what appears to be a jar of gel, and I tell the tiny effeminate man he can't bring gels through. He looks to the other side of the checkpoint, tells his very large stereotypical plumber looking boyfriend this, and he says, "No, not, it's, not, you fuck it." Yeah, he yelled the last part. I was holding his fleshlight. I had to do a chemical swab on a fleshlight. When I was 13-ish, I went into our computer room just in time to finish seeing my dad send an email that said "I love you" and some other stuff to a woman that wasn't my mom. He tried to cover my eyes and act like he was joking around. I promptly left and went back a while later. I tried getting in his email but he had changed the password. We all knew it because his email was used to log into a lot of stuff by the family. I never told my mom. Few years later, he divorced my mom and she asked me for help getting proof of him cheating from the laptop he had also used. I found graphic Craigslist messages that he had sent and received. Just gonna add a PSA here to parents. Don't fucking ask your child to do this. Take it to a goddamn PC shop and save your child the emotional and mental scars. My friend writing in his scholarship essay about how he needed assistance more than ever, since he was diagnosed with HIV. I never told a soul. It's been my best kept secret since. Saw a man crash his motorcycle into the back of a parked car. He flipped over the car, hitting his head on the pavement and dying on scene. Firefighters showed up and sprayed his brains and blood down the storm drain. Later found out it was a girl's father who I went to middle school with. I was 12. In my high school Spanish class, our teacher had taped VHS, a telenovela for us to watch. When she put the VHS tape in, there was about 0.25 seconds of a porno that played. A topless woman moaning. Out of a class of around 30 kids, only about 5 of us looked around at each other and locked eyes with a "Did anyone else just fucking see that?" look. Our teacher must have taped over an old porno VHS of hers. After work one night, my buddy wants to have some beers and play some video games. I ended up getting done before him, so he tells me to grab a case and go to his house and his dad will let me in. So I stop at the beer store and head over. I get to his house and before I get a chance to knock, I can hear people having sex. It was so ridiculously over the top. I thought it was his dad watching porn. I could hear the woman saying stupid shit like "fuck my ass with your huge cock," just screaming. The dude was like, "Yeah, take it baby." Ooh, it was hilarious. Anyway, I figured his dad was watching porn, so instead of knocking, I waited in my car for a bit. My buddy shows up and asks what I'm waiting for. I told him I think his dad is jerking off in the living room because I can hear the porn. He's like, "FFS." So we go in expecting his dad to quickly jump up and pretend he was watching hockey or something. But nope, his dad was giving some lady a professional fucking. Guy had his hat on backwards and still had his boots and socks on. No pants. Haha, like, did you take your pants off and put your boots back on? WTF is even that? Anyway, she ended up being an escort. His dad was embarrassed. We were all embarrassed. But it was funny. I was hiking in a forest with some friends, and as we continued on the trail, the mound of rocks on our right side opened up to more forest. Myself and one of my friends were leading the other two by a couple of yards, and we both briefly saw a couple having doggy-style sex several hundred feet into the forest on that right side. My friend and I gave each other that "did you see that shit too" look. By the time my other friends caught up, the couple had split and we couldn't see them anymore. It was like 2 p.m. in broad daylight off of a main road, which was the weirdest part. I was at a work-related retreat for a week and ended up sharing a room with a guy from a different site. It was my first time meeting him, but we hit it off pretty well from the get-go. The last night I was there, I walked into our room and found him in bed with one of my male co-workers. Without missing a beat, I did a 180 and walked out the door without saying a word. As I was walking away, my co-worker angrily whispered, "I thought you said you didn't have a roommate." For some reason, my roommate thought I was going to leave a night early, but that didn't happen. Ended up spending a couple of hours at the main cabin chatting with some folks so they could have their fun. I don't work there anymore, but I remember every time I would run into said co-worker, he would always try to avoid chatting with me. I definitely didn't care if he was sleeping around, but, in retrospect, it was probably more embarrassing for him than it was for me. I live with 2 housemates. One of them has a cat which I think is pretty cute, but the other housemate, who is already pretty stoic in general anyway, almost refuses to acknowledge its existence. I popped my head into his room one day, his door was open, and I saw him with his headphones on, playing with the cat with one of those long stick toys with a string on the end. He had a pretty big smile as well. He didn't see me, and I just observed for a couple of seconds cause it was surprising and quite cute, and then quietly left. I didn't bring it up because it seemed like a cute, private moment that I don't think he would have liked anyone to have actually witnessed. Edit. I thought I'd post a photo of another cute moment of the two. https://www.reddit.com/user/milnbone/comments/mrx9h7/housemates_and_cat_watching_f1_guest/UTM_scores equals share, and UTM_medium equals iOS_app, and UTM_name equals iOSF. HR at my last job accidentally sent out a list of everyone's home address, phone number, email, and if they were coming back after the layoff. My mom's phone got a notification while it was charging. Curious, I just checked to see what it was. It was a text message from some guy saying, "I'm going to have your pussy for breakfast." I've never checked her phone since. When I was 11 or 12, I walked in on my older brother masturbating. His back was turned, so luckily all I saw was his ass. As I walked in on him, I saw his mattress falling back into place, so being the curious child I was, I went to see what was under his mattress on a later day when he wasn't home. I was hoping for porn, cause growing up in the 90s in a religious household meant it was super hard to come by, but no, what I found was much, much worse. I found about 4 dozen little zip-top snack baggies full of cum. My grandparents were both a bit deaf. I was downstairs prepping dinner and called out to them. No response. I placed their plates on a tray instead and walked upstairs to their room, their door half open. Saw my fully naked grandma riding my fully naked grandpa like they have no aches and pains. It's weird. Like normally they do everything in slow-mo. Apparently not. Once when I was 14, my dad was working as a handyman after being laid off by his company and taking odd jobs for friends and family members. He would hire me and pay me a day's work with lunch to come be his work partner. Kind of a father-son bonding moment, in hindsight. Anyways, one day we were working at my dad's cousin's house remodeling the master bathroom, and in plain sight, on the bed was a giant dildo that we both had to pass in order to get to the bathroom. For an entire 8 hours in an empty house, me nor my father acknowledged the family dildo. In high school I found a document on my dad's computer that was basically a diary of his massive crush on another woman. I don't know why I opened it and felt really bad, but he probably shouldn't have kept it on a computer he let me use. It was weird, but I never told anyone and tried not to think about it. My parents are still together and they seem, mostly, happy. Edit. I appreciate all the comments trying to comfort me that this is normal, but the fact remains I definitely was not supposed to see that. As a kid I just felt really sad for both of my parents. I figured they were just staying married because they didn't believe in divorce, but since I've actually been in relationships now, I get that that's just a thing that happens. My brother opened his Google Chrome in front of me and I saw Hentai Haven in the most visited section under the search bar. When I was 9 years old, I walked into my parents' room to talk to my mom, who was sleeping. She had cancer at the time, which I didn't know about. So she always wore a headscarf to hide the fact that she was losing her hair from chemotherapy. She woke up frantically and hurried me out of the room, but I cannot forget the moment when I saw her without hair and couldn't understand why. LOL. Edit. Thank you to everyone who reached out, y'all are very wholesome. To those wondering, my mom passed 2 years later. I have come to terms with it though, and I am 22 years old now.
Thanks for watching. Comment suggestions for any future videos and subscribe to not miss out on any more good content. I upload daily videos from r/AskReddit. And if you liked the video, make sure to like the video.